Nathan's eyes snapped open at the gray early morning light. He leapt up out of bed and immediately dressed. His slumber had been light and fitful, almost as if his body was still getting used to the new soul now housed within it. Nathan delicately snuck past the closed doors to his sister's and father's respective rooms. He climbed down the stairs to the ground floor. Grabbing an apple, he left on his run. Nathan ran through the dewy grass. He was heading in one direction, Mount Dun, a modest peak that overlooked Dunshire. When he first beheld the mountain, something deep within his soul called him to it. He ran up the slope, delicately navigating the side trails hewn by goats. Eventually, he reached a giant chasm between the slope and the peak. The valley, ever so close to the peak, was too steep for Nathan to climb down and too wide for him to leap. A stony outcropping marked a place where a bridge might have gone. Nathan marveled at the weathered rocks. He had heard tales of ancient empires with roots in Dunshire, but he had never given them credence until now. He looked upwards. The peak was ever so near, and it still called to him. Nathan turned back, resolved to find another way. The next day, Nathan got up again at the crack of dawn, and this time brought a burlap sack with him. As he approached Mount Dun, he collected every single stone he saw on the way. By the time the ground started to slope, Nathan was carrying what he presumed to be dozens of pounds of rocks. He hoisted the sack over his shoulder and lifted the immense weight with him up the slope. Back when he had defeated Jason Clay, he sensed his power grow. If he was to prepare for what the Clays and Ravens had in store, Nathan knew he needed to push his new body to the limit. When Nathan arrived at the broken bridge, he dumped out his load of rocks. Working hastily, he assembled them ever so carefully into an extension of the former crossing. The first day, he extended it 3 feet, the second 10 feet, the third 20 feet. By the fourth day, he had built a makeshift bridge. Treading delicately so as not to buckle his new creation, Nathan crossed the bridge and finally completed his climb. Atop Mount Dun's summit, Nathan perused his father's lands. His spirit felt somehow lighter, freer than it had down below. So Nathan crossed his legs, sitting down, and meditated. This time, he didn't attempt to send his consciousness out into the beyond. This time, he focused on the world around him, extending his spiritual energy to the animals and plants around him. His range was still very meager, but he was able to connect with the life energies of the grass, several newts, and even a couple of mountain goats before he had to rest. This became part of his routine. The mornings he spent enriching his spirit, and the afternoons he spent strengthening his body. Sir Ulrich was eager to train with his son, now that Nathan was home full-time. But more often than not, he had to attend to business, so old Billy or a guardsman would spar with Nathan. No matter who they were, Nathan was always superior in combat. But he still let whomever he sparred with win one bout or another. He was cautious about his newfound power, and worried if he let his family discover its true extent, they would be overwhelmed, frightened, or, worst of all, corrupted. In the evenings, Nathan studied with Amelia. They read histories of Calandria, the various heroes and villains who shaped their past. They also studied languages, politics, and the customs of other lands. But not every hour was spent in rigor. They also took breaks to play parlor games with Sir Ulrich and old Billy. They would be so invested in these games of wordplay or chance that by the end of the night, Amelia, Nathan, Sir Ulrich, and old Billy found themselves crying with laughter, wheezing with the sheer joy of their company. They felt the laughter and joy far stronger, since they all felt the same unsettling feeling. They had heard no word from the Clays or the Ravens in 2 whole weeks. Tension was mounting, and not one of them knew how or when it would burst. "My son, what on earth are you doing in here?" One morning, Sir Ulrich opened Nathan's door to find a noxious cloud of green smoke billowing out of his room. "I cry your mercy, father. I will unlatch the window." "For a moment, I thought the Clays had blasted our home with a poisonous stink." Nathan laughed. "Worry not, father. 'Tis merely an alchemical experiment I am working on." Sir Ulrich frowned, his fingers still pinching his nose. "Alchemy? I did not know that the Mystic Blades Academy taught courses in alchemy." Nathan paused. Yes, it's an optional course." Ulrich nodded, seemingly satisfied by Nathan's hastily improvised cover story. He leaned over the simmering cauldron Nathan had set in his hearth. "What is this foul brew?" Nathan looked at his water clock and gasped. "Thou art just in time, father. Here." He leapt across the room and grabbed a ladle. He tipped a carefully measured spoonful into a vial and swirled it around. The heat from the mixture fogged the glass, but the potion soon simmered into a pleasant golden color. He smiled at his father. Sir Ulrich looked unconvinced. "What's in this?" "Flaming flower and frozen grass." Sir Ulrich nearly leapt out of his boots. "What? Those 2 ingredients are combustible when put together." "Not so, father. You simply need to stabilize both ingredients before you combine them. Here, I will show you." Nathan demonstrated how he concocted this potion. All the while, Sir Ulrich nodded, not fully understanding. Nathan grinned. One of the few things he seemed to have retained in spite of his flawed memories was an intuition of alchemy, and he had only just begun testing his skills. Sir Ulrich rubbed his forehead, baffled. "So, what does this potion do?" Nathan held up the golden vial. "This is a Dexterity Elixir. Here, let me show you." Ulrich reached out his hand in protest, but too late. Nathan had already downed the vial. Sir Ulrich stood there, body tense, as he prepared to summon Sir Yara in case his only son had just accidentally poisoned himself. Nathan's body convulsed, and his eyes rolled around. Just then, he belched. Nathan laughed at his father's expression. "I beg your pardon, father, but this is a strong batch. It doesn't agree with my bile. But watch." And with that, he leapt through his bedroom window. Sir Ulrich ran after him in shock and looked out the window, expecting to see Nathan's crumpled form in pain on the ground. Instead, Nathan landed, rolled, and leapt up in the air dramatically. He turned and looked up at his bedroom window. "See, father? What think you?" Sir Ulrich looked from his son to the simmering cauldron and back. "I think I would like to give this elixir a try." The next day, Nathan sat on the top of Mount Dun, letting his mind go blank. The Dexterity Elixir had been a resounding success, and he and his father had passed the afternoon training with enhanced reflexes and skills. But the effects were only temporary, and the father and son found themselves slightly fatigued once the potion wore off. Nathan expressed his disappointment, but his father assuaged him. "Worry not, lad. You have engineered an excellent training tool." And right Sir Ulrich was, Nathan reflected. For if he could harness more alchemical concoctions, that could bring him even slightly closer to the full realization of his spiritual warrior prowess, as well as arming him against any and every threat to come. A small cough shattered Nathan's reverie. Nathan opened his eyes and looked around. Normally he was alone on the top of the mountain, but he was surprised to see Baelor Graham standing there next to him, sweating and panting. Nathan hopped to his feet.
"Baelor, how fare you?"
The two friends embraced. Baelor shrugged.
"As well as ever, I expect."
Nathan detected some measure of falsehood in his friend's voice. He decided he would inquire.
"Come now. We have been through too much to deal falsely with each other, Baelor. Speak thy mind."
Baelor opened his mouth. A dozen things to say flew through his brain. For the last few days had not been kind to him. He had left the academy, which left him adrift. While Dunshire celebrated Nathan's triumphant victory, Baelor was merely a footnote in the tale. He found no honor in the story, nor no glory in his departure from Mystic Blades. Baelor had attempted to catch up with Nathan on multiple occasions over the past few weeks, but whenever he had summoned the courage to go to Dunshire, Nathan was busy training, a fact that left Baelor feeling even more listless and dejected. He always wanted to do something with his life, but to find himself as the secondary character in a story filled Baelor with a sense of discontentment that he couldn't put into words, even to his best friend. Though Baelor voiced none of these inner frustrations and desires, Nathan saw an inkling of them writ across his friend's face. He smiled gently.
"Do not worry. Let us descend. I think we will have time to catch my father and sister at breakfast. Will you join us?"
Baelor stammered.
Are you sure? I do not wish to burden you."
"A burden?
Nonsense, Baelor. You're a boon. You made it up this whole mountain just to say hello. I think that is worth doing over some toast."
The two friends walked down the winding goat paths, descending toward Dunshire. On the way, Nathan made sure to divert the subject away from the portents of the future. He suspected something of his friend's lack of aim, but he knew that pushing the issue would only make Baelor more unwilling to discuss it. So they talked about the weather and the upcoming harvest season. They discussed festivals, troupes of actors that were to pass through town, books they had read, all manner of things, as long as they were not important. There would be plenty of time to discuss important things at length.
"My father is not pleased with me leaving the academy."
The two boys paused in front of the Hayfield Manor. Nathan looked curiously at Baelor. This was the first thing of consequence Baelor had said for the last hour.
"Why ever not? Did you not tell him of the headmaster's corruption?" "Aye, but our house does not have much in the way of titles or skills. We need every advantage we can get."
Nathan nodded slowly.
"I just want to please him, Nathan, and I know not how to do that now that I am no longer studying."
Nathan placed his hand upon his friend's shoulder.
"I understand, but he will come around. I promise you that. Just you tell him that you will bring honor to the family your way, and not Headmaster Blackwood's. Now come in and eat some sausage before you fall over."
And through the entryway they went, two friends who had sacrificed much for each other, and would go on to sacrifice far more.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.